If you're thinking about moving and you want to learn about what everyday life is going to be like in your new town, this is the place for you. On Open House, we sit down with local, top producing real estate agents to help you find the best places to live in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So if you don't want buyer's remorse and you want to find your dream town, we are here for you. So go ahead and book a free call with us and we'll help guide you to the area that is right for you. Now, let's jump in and learn about your new home.
Hi, this is Mike with Open House Media, and if you're ready to take a deep dive into what it's like to live, work, and play in downtown Norfolk in the Freemason area, then you found the right video, because I have Terri Baker with me, and she is a licensed real estate agent who knows all the ins and outs and is ready to help us see the area from a local's perspective. So, Terri, how long have you been a realtor?
Hi, Mike. I have been a realtor now for about 33 years.
We're talking to the right person.
Yes, and I live in the area that we'll be discussing today.
So what made you get into real estate?
Well, I was a school teacher for 16 years and I wanted to have a little more autonomy, and I was always interested in real estate. And I had my license part-time for a long time and couldn't do a good job part-time while I was teaching school. So I decided to dive in entirely and loved it from the very beginning and have enjoyed it for all these years, and primarily because of where I work.
You know, I'm sure that's a difficult choice to make in the moment there, to go abandon one thing for another thing and hope for the best.
Especially when you're going from a salary to a commission.
Yeah. And suddenly it's like, oh, wait, when did the real estate agent checks come? Like, oh,
Yes.
oh no, oh no. So when it comes to the downtown area, how would you describe it as far as kind of the culture of the area?
It is primarily an urban area, as you would guess, because of, it's with the name downtown. But our downtown area is a little bit different than some because we have adjacent to it, and part of it is called the Freemason District. And the Freemason District is the historic cobblestone street, 19th century buildings and homes. We have 19th century buildings in downtown, which have been, the facade is still there, which we've nicely preserved with new mechanics inside. But it is, there's a lot going on. And you have two separate vibes within that downtown area. You've got the excitement and all the restaurants and the pubs and the activities and the festivals. And then you have the Freemason area, which is a little more quiet, residential, cobblestone streets, lots of trees, has a real residential feel.
I think that's kind of one thing that I think a lot of people really like is having that visual of the older exterior and also having the amenities of the newer interior. I think that's where a lot of people kind of like to be, because as far as aesthetics go, it's tough to beat that exterior aesthetic from that time period. But when I go inside, I want all the fun amenities that I'm used to and accustomed to at this point.
Right. And that's, I think in the early 90s here, the lofts became vogue, from the Soho, New York lofts. And we do have some very authentic lofts here, which is lovely, because when a lot of the cities now create their own lofts, and they're modern lofts and they're in modern buildings and they call them lofts, but we have old warehouses that have been converted with the pine ceilings, the iron collars, pine and post construction.
Yeah, that stuff's great. If I get a loft, I want to have that interior that like makes me feel like I should be like creating art in there or something.
Absolutely.
So I know the area, obviously it's a very old area. It's been there a long time. Is there anything kind of interesting about the history or background of the area that you're living in?
Well, there's a lot of interesting things about it, and I won't bore you with all the details, but it's significant to know that Norfolk was burned to the ground. 3/4 of Norfolk was burned to the ground, and of course, the Freemason district was part of the area that was burned. The Union soldiers during the Civil War, after the Revolutionary War, started it, and the British burned everything. And then they occupied some of our beautiful old homes in Freemason. And then, of course, we had the Civil War, and when we seceded from the Union, then the Union soldiers came and occupied our areas. And then during the war, most of our homes became boarding homes and homes for the military to stay in. So it's gone through so many different stages and evolutions, and it's been threatened many, many times. The city almost put a freeway on the waterfront at one point, and the residents fought it so ardently that it never passed. So we were then created as a historic district, and nothing like that can really happen anymore.
And that's always, it's nice. It's like, yeah, do I want a freeway around so I can get to where I need to go? Sure. But do I ever want that at the cost of, the comfort and appeal of where I'm living? No, probably not, and it's always nice to see places that kind of fight back against that.
One of the things that we have water views, we don't have any tall skyscraper buildings along the waterfront. We have, we can't build anymore on the waterfront. And most of our buildings, the highest, are 8 stories. And the buildings that they have built farther away from the water are a little higher. So we have lots of water views from lots of properties.
Yeah, and that helps kind of solidify and lock in that the aesthetic and visual appeal of that area is just never going to change.
Right.
So when it comes to the economic side of things, where do people tend to kind of work in these areas?
The people in Freemason, most of them are in private business. Of course, the government is a large part of our employment. Medical is huge. We have several hospitals. We also have the Jones Institute. We have the Heart Hospital. We have Centera, which is a huge medical business, and they run several hospitals in the area. We have the universities. We have Norfolk State University, Old Dominion University, and then the maritime industry is huge here too. So most of our people work in those and in private industry.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense, being on the water, that you're going to get that increased amount of maritime employment and in a wide variety of industries there, being so close. Is there people now? You're probably what, an hour and a half, hour and 45 from Richmond?
Yeah, about an hour and a half. Yes.
Yeah. So do you get people commuting from that area out as far as there, or is everything generalized in that Norfolk area, you think?
We have people commute to Williamsburg quite a bit,
Yeah.
and to Newport News, Suffolk, and even Langley. We're close to Langley. So, I don't know of too many people who commute to Richmond for their job daily, because it is a little congested.
Yeah, I guess that
is Northern Virginia.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that as someone who lives in Maryland outside of DC, and here, an hour and 45-minute commute is a completely reasonable thing, whereas other places of the country are smarter and don't do that.
Well, you can get from one end of Norfolk to the other in 25 minutes.
Oh, man. That sounds fantastic. I wouldn't even know what to do with all the other extra time I had in my day. So there's a decent amount of large companies, industries in the area. What about when it comes to, and I know this is something that, that I didn't appreciate when I was younger when factoring in these type of things, but as I've gotten older, it makes a lot more sense. What about the schools in the area?
We do have, the downtown and Freemason area are on what we call the west side of Norfolk, and the school's very good in this area. We've got Maury High School, we've got Blair Middle School, we've got Taylor Elementary, which is considered, there's 2 really best elementary schools in Norfolk, and that's Taylor and Larchmont Elementary. Larchmont is north. It's near the naval base, near the university. And then we also have Granby High School, Granby Elementary. They're very, very good. You know, we have international baccalaureate programs, and we also have magnet schools, and we have the Governor's School for the Arts. And a lot of our really talented kids go to the Governor's School for the Arts, which is downtown, which is located in downtown Norfolk.
And I will say, I normally don't get this perspective when I'm talking to someone about this, but you know, you obviously have bonus credibility in this area of being a former teacher. I have to take you at your word.
Right.
And maybe that's just homeschool cooking right there. I don't know, but yeah, it's one of those things that, like I said, I didn't appreciate, but now I understand why something like that is such a driving factor for where people end up choosing to live,
Right.
because they want to make sure that their kids are in good schools and getting a proper education. When it comes to things to do in that area, be it, you know, the food and drink side, the arts and entertainment side, what are we looking at there?
There's so much to do here. I get very frustrated this time of year because there's several things going on. For example, this weekend, it's the wine festival. They have a children's festival. They have a jazz festival. They have a blues festival. They have a Cajun festival. A Latin festival. Last weekend, they had a taco festival. So we have this place called Waterside, which is a huge park on the water, and they have all kinds of music. And during the nice months of the year, there's a scheduled festival every weekend. And then in coinciding with that, you've got the theater, which is going on. We've got the Wells Theater with the stage company, which is our local theater. And then we have another theater group that travels through the area annually and performs, 4 different shows a year. We've got the symphony, we've got the opera, we've got the Chrysler Museum, which is the arts. It goes on, and that's what is one of the huge draws for people in this area, because there's so much to do for young and old.
Well, that's always good, because when it comes to these festivals, not getting a DUI or having to find a DD is an incredibly valuable thing. It's when you factor into the cost, But I mean, I love a good festival, but I feel like if I were around that area and we're dealing with that every weekend, then it's just like I'm perpetually breaking my diet. Like, how do I pass? How do I pass by a taco festival? Like,
that is a problem.
And it's just like, oh, what do we got? Is it Pierogi Fest next week? Like, let me guess where I'll be. It's like they know they're going to get my money. They know. So I would also imagine in this area we probably have a lot of local businesses.
Yes, and we have a lot of wonderful restaurants. We're noted for our restaurants, and they are privately owned. We've got seafood restaurants. We've got, we don't have as many ethnic restaurants as we would like to have, but we do, we're getting to that point. Norfolk is constantly developing and changing and growing. We have a few Indian restaurants. We have several Japanese restaurants. But the food industry is huge. We have many, many breweries that have sprung up. We probably have 20 breweries in Norfolk. And a lot of them, are privately owned. I mean, we have Blue Moon, but that's a big one. But we also have the privately owned local breweries. O'Connor's is one. Smart Mouth is another. And we've got a section called Chelsea, which started developing about 8 years ago on the far west side of Norfolk. And it's where a lot of the youngsters go, and there's several breweries there. And then we got the Railroad District, which is developing north of us, which is, again, a lot of breweries and a lot of pubs. It's just constantly expanding, growing north and east. It's always happening. Lots of good restaurants, though.
It's one of those things that that when you have those kind of more locally owned areas, it changes the entire dynamic of an area. Mm-hmm. Like, everything in an area that has those type of locally owned, family operated stores and restaurants, it just kind of all goes towards that, like, that communal feel of an area.
Mm-hmm.
which is always what you want. You want to be able to go into a restaurant and feel like you're, eating in someone's home, because
Right.
you can see the people who own it. You can see the people who care about it, and then you get to meet the other people in the area, and just having those type of connections is a pretty invaluable thing. Any other big special events that go on in the area that we cover?
Yes, we have the Virginia Arts Festival that goes on during the summertime. And we have, they bring in different musicians, they bring in different artists. And then of course you have the schedule and you purchase the tickets, and it's a wonderful thing. Cruise industry. I don't know if that's that doesn't come into entertainment, but it's entertaining. It's visually entertaining, because we've had several huge cruise ships come in and leave port. They leave from here. The last one from Germany was a German cruise line, and they stayed here for a day. So it was very nice to have that and meet the people. They come and walk through the neighborhoods and talk to us about the neighborhoods. It's nice.
That's kind of cool. It also, it makes it easy to know, like, oh, I could get away whenever I want.
Right.
Just
right.
hop on the next cruise ship that rolls by, and I'll see you later, Right. So there's obviously a lot to do in that area. What about if we go a little wider and talk about, different type of outdoor activities, maybe in the hiking, the trails? I know once you get into Virginia, there's that stuff just all over the place.
Yes. Well, in the district where we live, the Freemason district, we've got the Elizabeth River Trail. The Elizabeth River Project is huge here, and they do a really, really good job of trying to create more wetlands and rain grass areas, and clean up around the river and the harbor, because we're bordered by the Elizabeth River and the Norfolk Harbor, and the Elizabeth River goes out to the Lafayette River. So we've got the Elizabeth River Project, and we've got the Cannonball Trail, which you walk around, and you can walk the whole waterfront from downtown Norfolk to Old Dominion University, which is probably 5 miles north on trails. And again, they're constantly developing that along the ERT, the Elizabeth River Trail. You can bike it. And they also have a little workout area where you can stop and work out if you'd like, and jump the bars and do that kind of thing. And there's a dock where you can take your kayak and go off of that. And that's, again, on the Elizabeth River Trail, and that goes into West Ghent. There's a bird sanctuary at the end of the Elizabeth River Trail in West Ghent. So there's all kinds of wonderful things along the way, along with the birds, and you can, river otters and, mink. We have mink in our water. You can observe all the nature things along the trail. It's great.
Yeah, and that's always, it's good to know that the active people, despite being in a city-ish area, you still have those options that are readily available to you.
One of the big festivals we do have here is the NATO Festival. So we have the NATO headquarters is here on the base, and we have all the different countries participate in the NATO Festival. We have the Tattoo come and perform, we have the military band come and perform, and then we have a big parade, have the NATO parade, and each country has its own float, and it's a nice big celebration. That's a lot of fun. That's the other festival.
Wow, that's got to be massive. When it comes to homes in the area, like I kind of talked about how things are pretty diverse as far as what you could get or what is available. But when it comes to the homes, what are you thinking the median home price is?
Well, the median home price is in the 350s, between 350 and 360. However, you have to take into account that most of our properties are condominiums, because we don't have a lot of single family homes, and we do have single family homes that have been on the market and gone 4.5 million, but there are only like 2 or 3 of those in Freemason. 2 million. One went for 2.5 million. We have one that was listed for 4 million, but it didn't sell yet. It hasn't sold yet. but that's a huge mansion. But then you have your condos, and the condos go anywhere from, they go up into the millions. We have one recently that sold for 1.2 million. I've got a penthouse condo on the market right now for 950,000. So they vary widely. I mean, you can get a condo for 200,000, or you can buy, $1.2 million, condo on the waterfront. So they vary. The average income is about 65,000 a year. The median income is about 65. The average 85.
Yeah, I mean, that's good in the sense that you're covering all the demos, all the demographics there. If you want something that's a little more in the reasonably priced area, then that is an option that's available to you.
Right.
Or if you want to go out and have your sweet water view and all that stuff, well, that stuff is an option as well.
Yeah. It's a wonderful blend, a wonderful mesh of that. That's why we have a lot of youngsters. The median age is 35. However, we have a lot of people over 65 who live in Freemason. So it blends, it weaves so well together, and everybody loves where they live.
Excellent. And if you could give one piece of advice to a buyer before moving into the area, what would you say?
Find an agent or a good friend who knows the area very well. And we have so many different nuances throughout, within a couple mile radius. As I said, we've got Chelsea, we've got the Neon District, which is developing, which is just north of the Freemason downtown area. And that's the Arts District, another arts district. Then you've got the Freemason, which is the quiet, more retirement area with coffee shops, but it's not all retirement. It's a lot of youngsters. Remember that 35 is the median age. Or the downtown vibe. It's exciting. As you said, every night you go home from work, you're going to want to hang out at a bar or something, So if you want that lifestyle, I lived there when I was younger. It was great. Find somebody who knows that, explore it before you buy.
It kind of sounds like, maybe take a vacation. But and I think that's a really smart thing for people to do before, is kind of go through that test drive of an area. Go rent an Airbnb for a few nights, maybe a week, and say, like, how does this area feel? Do I like it? Is this the area I want to look in? Does it match the vibe I want? Anything else you could think that you wanted to add in that maybe we didn't get to?
I think that that covers it. We do have a light rail, which just goes from one end of the city to one end of the downtown area to the hospital, which is good for some people who work within the city and for bad weather and they can't bike that day or they can't walk that day. It doesn't go to Virginia Beach yet. It actually goes to Newtown Road, which is just at the border before Virginia Beach. Someday that's going to link us all together, we hope. So
a good means of traversal for people inside of the city.
Yes.
All right. I'd like to thank you for being here today and answering these questions to give us a feel for what it's like to live, work, and play in downtown Norfolk and the Freemason area. If you're interested in moving to the area, then please see our contact information below the video and ask for Terri, and we'll arrange for her to give you a call and set you up so that you have the easiest move into the area possible and help you find a home or condo that best suits you. Thank you so much for being here.